Good morning and happy New Year's. My name is Okasa and I'm a constant stream of consciousness. And today we'll be talking about the numerology of the number 1. So it's a new year, 2026. And when you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, you get the number 10. But then when you reduce that, you get the number 1. So we are in a year of 1. And I did think maybe I wanted to dissect all the different numbers that we're going into, like 2 and the 0 and the 6. But I did that last year, so I don't want to do it this year. But I want to discuss the astrological correspondence with the number 1. It is the planetary body, the sun, and then the astrological sign, Leo. So about the sun. The sun is actually a star. And I find that very unique because it is so different compared to the other stars that we have in the sky. And it's like a guiding light. And we have used stars as like guides. So that's what I think about when I think about a star. But then also, I am thinking about the concept of being a star. I do karaoke almost every week. And one of the things that I'm like, I need to break out of my shell is that I get on stage. I have a beautiful voice, thankfully. So like people want to listen to me, but I have like zero stage presence. Like I freeze up and it like literally don't know. I know the person that I am in my mind, and just like getting to that process of becoming that person, I really would appreciate this year where I actually grow into my stardom. Anyways, more about the sun is that the sun is a luminary planetary body, but actually, I want to discuss luminary placements in astrology. There are two. They are luminary placements in astrology are considered Cancer and Leo, and Cancer is associated with the moon, and Leo is associated with the sun. And I would argue that Leo is more of a luminary than Cancer because the sun is a bigger or a brighter light than the moon, but they are both luminary bodies, but they do it a bit different because when I think about luminary or like luminous, it invokes the image of emitting light, creating light, giving light. And as like living things, we are attracted to light. Like we go towards the light because it not appeases us, alleviates. It alleviates fear. It gives us a better scope of our surrounding, right? So we feel safe in light, like we go towards the light. And when I think about luminaries, I do think that it sort of isn't about the light, though. The light is definitely a positive, but I think it's more so the fact that the sun and the moon have the biggest gravitational pull on the earth and therefore us. Like luminaries are considered gravitational or attractive or magnetic personalities. And that is accurate because they like our relationship with light. But I also think we need to bring up the concept of luminary, the sun being a luminary, is so big. It has the biggest mass in our planetary system. And the more mass you have, the more gravity you pull. And I would say that because we live on the earth and the earth is technically the closest big mass that we have, we feel the gravitational pull of the earth more. We're more knowledgeable about the gravitational pull on the earth, but technically the sun has more of a gravitational pull on all of us because it is the biggest mass in our planetary system. So we're pulled, we all assimilate into their orbit. We all assimilate, and I'm talking about like Mercury, Venus, the Earth, and whatever planet, we all assimilate into the sun's orbit. But wait, I was about to forget one thing. And then also because of our relationship with the sun's gravitational pull, we have seasons. So like there are effects of it. And this is where I want to argue. I personally believe in astrology because of gravity, that the placement of our relationship or the gravitational pull at different angles with the earth causes our seasons. So what else is it affecting? And I would even say that I think magic or astrology is the same thing as science, but like magic is science that has yet to be explained. So I also believe that's why I believe sun signs are important because the sun has the most gravitational pull. And I would even say, yes, when like there are certain types, I think it's called Placidius charts, and how close you are to the equator does also affect how your chart looks. It does make sense because honestly, the plate, like how the gravitational pull of the earth pulls on you, like the actual place that you're on the earth does also have an effect on your climate, and climates do have an effect on personality and culture. So yeah. And then with the moon also being I think the second biggest mass, well, okay, is it the sun and then the moon? No. The sun, then the earth, then the moon, but technically the earth doesn't have a placement. Anyways, the moon also has an effect on us. It causes our tides. And I would say cancers do luminary work, but like it's so low key that a lot of people don't realize that you are attracted to this person because they are very soothing. Their energy pulls without you realizing they're pulling, and it's almost like you are on a tide, or like you're just like rippling into them, or like floating into them. And then I would even say the fact that our bodies are 70% water, and the moon literally affects the tides, affects our waters, affects our rivers, all of those things. I do think that your moon sign, or like at least the angle of however the moon was at your birth, does matter. And then I like the term lunatic or loony comes from lunar, and they used to think that certain moon phases made people crazy. And this is where I want to say that I sort of know that it's a bit wishy-washy because we technically don't have the data to prove what I'm saying yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if like technically our assumptions aren't completely accurate because we don't have the full data yet. But yeah, I also wanted to say that the moon is associated with water. Like the moon rules Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. The tarot card for the moon is associated with Pisces, another water sign. But yeah, luminaries and gravitational pulls. And then when I think about the sun, I think about summer because summer has the longest like time in the sun, and then we're closer to the sun technically, so it gets warmer and hotter. And I'm thinking of like bikini weather and tropical aesthetics. And something that I've always had in the back of my mind is like the Earth girl aesthetic, but what if the Earth girl lived on the sun? So like the Earth girl aesthetic is influenced by motifs and imagery from the earth. So they wear a lot of brown and greens and golds and coppers, and they have locks in their hair, and they look very not demure, what's the word, like natural. They have very natural aesthetics, and all their colors can be seen on the earth's planet, or like the vegetation, the life of the earth's crust. I lost train of thought. But I am thinking like I would like to see an Earth girl aesthetic, but if like they lived on the sun. I actually want to see how that would look if they lived on Mercury, if they lived on Venus, if they lived on Mars. But I specifically want to explore that aesthetic for the sun. And I do think it's because the second correspondent being Leo. Actually, I forgot one more thing. I forgot to say that the sun is source. Maybe I did. I've recorded this a couple of times. The sun is times. The sun is source. All roads, or all energetic roads on earth at least, leads back to the sun. I'm thinking of like the food chain. The sun is first, then the plants, then the herbivores, then the omnivores, then the carnivores. All our energy comes directly from the sun. And that does sort of kind of fit into like the whole luminary thing, where it's just like people gravitate towards you because you are like a source of life, a source of safety. But now I want to talk about Leo. My moon sign is in Leo, and then I'm a Cancer stellium. Well, let me say it. I'm a Cancer sun and then a Leo moon. So yeah, like I did studies on luminary because I was like, I need to understand what is happening. Like people gravitate towards me, and it's mostly positive. I do agree that it's a mostly positive thing, but there are some like negatives that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. And I guess I'll talk about it just a bit when I discuss Leo. But Leo is the astrological lion. And when I think about the lion, I think of the Wizard of Oz and the Cowardly Lion. And this ties back to the fact that I go on stage and I freeze up. I need to be fearless. I need to be loud. I need to be eccentric. I need to be energetic. I need to be fearless, courageous, unapologetic. Yeah. And then also it being my moon sign, it's connected to my emotional state and my home life. One of the things that I've just been doing my whole life is that I never decorate my room. I never make it look like my space. And I'm thinking of decorating my room, and I have like different motifs that I think I want. I'll like give you two. I want warm colors, but like bright, but not bright. Like when I turn off the light, I don't need it to be screaming at me so I can go to sleep. And then I want a lot of mirrors. And this sort of ties into the fact that Leos have a stereotype about being narcissistic. And I do get it, because to be first is to be a leader, is to be is to be the best, is to be a trailblazer, and that to some extent can give you like an ego. And I did say how the sun is source, and the sun is the most important thing in our system, in our planetary system. It is the core. It is the center. I mean, back in the day, we used to think the Earth was the center, but as soon as we found out that's why, the sun is the center of our solar system, not the universe, but our solar system. It is the most important body, I do think. Well, that's not true. It is the most important, yeah, but like every planetary body is important. And I guess I forgot to mention that this is another reason why I believe in astrology. There had to be, or not just astrology, higher beings or like higher intelligences, there had to be a mathematical equation to make sure that this solar system was at least viable for us. Because when I said that everything has a gravitational pull, I have a gravitational pull, but because my mass is smaller than the earth, smaller than the moon, smaller than the sun, I cannot pull a person the way that the earth can, the way that the sun can. But this is where like I'm like luminaries, like something about their energy gravitates people, pulls them, because you have a gravitational pull. Like if you ever have been in a situation where it's like this person keeps showing up, it feels like I'm being drawn to them, there might be something about their gravitational pull that is like very receptive, like you're very receptive to. But then on top of that, the part of the main reason why I believe in astrology is that Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, any of the planetary bodies also has a gravitational pull, and the earth would also be pulled. We would also be pulled by it, but not as much as the sun, because the sun has the biggest mass, but their gravitational pull would be effective. And I do think that there had to be a mathematician that sat there and made sure that the way that the way that the sun is pulling at everyone else, and how these ones are also pulling on everyone else, has to be working in a perfect system so that no one collides into each other. And there have been a lot of times where they're like, an asteroid is coming, they're about to hit us, and it just grazes over us. I do think that there was a lot of math into making sure that the way that Mars pulls on the Earth and pulls on Venus wouldn't cause things to collide into each other. I genuinely think there had to be a mathematician to do that. And then this also, how did I get back on this topic? This also pulls into like the concept of our gods being bigger than us. They have a bigger mass, and therefore they would have a bigger gravitational pull, and that would pull us to worship to them. And then also the concept of before skinny got in, bigger bodies were deemed more regal, more important, more loved, because they have bigger mass, they have a bigger gravitational pull. I don't remember how, I think I was talking about Leos and their narcissism. I personally believe that all fire signs are narcissists. I think just a fire element is a very narcissistic placement. But in the case of Leo, to be first, like this is a year of one. To be first is to be a leader, is to be the best, is to be a trailblazer. The word blazer invokes the imagery of fire. Leo is a fire sign. But then I also want to acknowledge that the first placement, the first sign in astrology is also Aries, right? And the sun is exalted in Aries. And we just finished a year of Aries because 9 is associated with Aries. And I do find it funny that 9 is a number of ending, but in a lot of ways, the ending of one thing is the beginning of another thing. It's like 2 coins, same side, or maybe it's the same coin, same side. Who knows? But the ending of one thing is the beginning of a new thing. So when numerologically, the cycle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You never get to double digits, and 0 never has a year. But in the case of Aries, Aries is also a cardinal sign, and cardinals are starters. And I would say because they are first, because they have ego, because there's also like a sense of ego to be like the first of someone to overcome something, the first of someone to really like trailblaze. Yeah, I find fire signs just a bit narcissistic. And then the fact that, but it is funny because technically Aries is a starter placement, but then the number it's associated with is a ending number. Like it signifies an ending or a conclusion or completion of something. But again, ending, beginning, same thing. But yeah, last year was really tough because I was just like, yeah, it's an ending, but like new beginning. And I really genuinely thought it was going to be a new beginning. And it was, but it was a lot of ending more than I was really looking forward to. But now we're finally in an era of new beginning. So I think that's all I had to say. Narcissism has been showing up. Like I was looking through my old Instagram posts and I might repost them. I'm not editing this. I just already feel a bit too lazy to, but I got my editing software back. So I will be editing again soon enough. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, narcissism has been showing up. One of my songs I was listening to, I said, "Oh, this is Echo, and Echo and Narcissus. That's the story." And then another thing I found was that I said I'm pretty shallow in my narcissism. I say I'm obsessed with myself, but like I don't lay in bed thinking about myself the way that I should, like the way I do with celebrities. I need to be so like I'm the core, I'm the center, I'm everything, right? I'm source, right? I'm the giver of life for myself at least. But like I actually that was I think the thing that I wanted to allude to with like how luminaries, everyone thinks it's like a positive thing until people get envious that they don't have that same type of power over themselves or potentially other people, because I do think like the sun is self-sufficient. The sun is source. The sun doesn't need us. The sun, well, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if like gravitational pulls does help the sun stay in form, which does sort of play into concepts of Saturn, but that's another video. But the sun doesn't need us. We need the sun. And sometimes people become pretty envious about Leos specifically, where it's just like, yeah, they're so narcissistic, or they have an ego about them. They don't have an ego. They just know that they are self-sufficient. And they're not trying to rub it in your face. That's just who they are. They are self-sufficient. Don't feel jealous about that. Don't feel envious about that. Don't feel lesser of yourself in comparison to them about that. They are doing them. And that's like one of the few negatives that can happen with luminaries, where people become envious and then they start like running with narratives about them. Because I think Marilyn Monroe, she was like a Leo rising. She has a Leo placement somewhere. It's in one of her big threes. And you can see how like people were gravitating towards her. People love her. People love her to this day, right? But then there was also like that sense of, oh, well, she's a bad representation for women, or a bad representation for body, or she was a bimbo, or she was a liar, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like you're trying to break down her character, but it still stands. And I think that's what's driving you crazy. But yeah, Happy New Year's and thank you for watching.